Wow.
No, the lime Skittle.
Everybody didn't hear that just a little while ago because of the glitch. So you have to repeat what you were all talking about.
I could never
No,
fuck
so-
up. It was such a weird glitch. I could never explain it to anyone else again.
Oh my
I
goodness.
bought this 3-pound bag of Skittles. It's going to last me like 5 years, strictly because it has the lime Skittle and not the green apple Skittle, because I hate the green apple Skittle. And I couldn't find this in a smaller bag, so I now have a bag of Skittles that's going to take me a couple years to get through.
Okay.
Skittles are delicious. I don't know why anyone would say Skittles aren't good. Skittles are amazing.
What's
Imagine
the
not
best
liking
Skittles flavor, though? I like the regular.
The entire tropical bag is amazing.
No.
Really?
It
Yeah.
has coconut in it. That's bad.
You know what's better than better
Coconut
than
is
Skittles?
delicious.
You know what's
Boo.
better than
Not
Skittles?
by itself. What?
Nerds.
Oh, no.
Nerds.
Is anybody here old enough to remember when the Wonka candy made the spin-off of Nerbs called, what was it called? Dweebs?
No.
Boomer.
It was very short-lived.
I have to look dweebs up. I've never heard of them before. Dweebs.
It sounds stupid.
It was
does.
like Nerds, but like soft.
Oh, like gummy candy?
No, just chewy instead of crunchy.
Yeah, like more chewy kind of
Yeah,
nerds.
imagine like chewy sweet tarts versus regular sweet tarts, like that kind of difference.
Oh, these guys are adorable.
Chewy is
They're
best.
like the dweebs mascots are all these like pudgy fruit flavor guys, and one of them has sunglasses on and the roller skates. He's cool. I'd have some dweebs. Tasty.
Do I need
You
to
can't anymore.
become a dweeb?
I was a dweeb. I've been a
So-
dweeb since the day I was born. I just haven't eaten myself yet, I guess, if that's how this works.
Monka?
No, not weeb, dweeb.
Oh,
Get it?
fair enough. I misheard.
Nice save.
So I think Tim has something he wants that we tweeted before the show.
Yes, Timothy,
that
talk to
he
us.
He showed us what he got. Do you want to explain what that was?
Oh, yeah. So that was my server. I got a server today. Very exciting. Anyway, I have something else more exciting than the server. Server's not that exciting. It's
Can you
just-
lift it again? You look so handsome.
Yeah. Yeah,
Very
let's see it
heavy.
again. Let's
It's-
see it again.
Do it.
Hold on, I got
Do it.
my other thing down.
Anybody who didn't see the tweet can now see it if you're obviously if you're listening on the podcast, you can't.
All
Have to
right.
go to our
I said
Twitter
handsome.
account.
You don't gotta ruin it like that.
It's very heavy.
Does it have tape on it?
Doesn't
Oh,
have
wow.
any- Hold on, make sure it doesn't show any numbers. Okay. It's a big server.
Oh, wow. That
It's
is
a-
not what I expected it to look like at all.
What did you expect it to look like?
I don't know, like a PC tower, I guess.
No,
but
their servers are all rack mounted now.
Nope, that is an incorrect fact.
Well, most of them are.
What do you mean? What does incorrect fact mean?
You spend money, you buy one that's rack mounted. You don't buy these shitty ones that are.
I have one of those shitty ones on the floor right now, and you just hurt his feelings.
Well, tell Gerald I'm sorry, but he's pretty shitty.
Is that what you run your Plex server off of?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Not for much longer.
Yeah. Now
What do you
it's going to
keep-
be on Gerald 2.0.
What do you keep on your Plex server?
Movies and TV shows. We have a lot of DVDs, so we store all of them on
What
there. And then also,
Do you actively use your Plex server
every day.
Yes.
every day?
Okay. Yeah, and I also have a TV tuner plugged into it, so we watch
Wow.
we watch the news on it all the time.
He can't. Nobody else can see his TV tuner though, because
Yeah, it's a
it
Plex only
doesn't allow
allows
you
it.
to share it.
Yeah, a Plex only allows you to use it for your in-home accounts. So me and Zoe, we both have full access to it, and the guest account, which no one uses. But that was exciting. Thing number one. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it. It's way more powerful. My old server currently has 8 gigs of RAM, I don't remember the exact processor. And
What is
then
it running?
My old one.
Yeah.
So it's running VMware ESXi, which is a virtualization software. So I can run multiple different servers on VMware. So
Are you gonna get Windows Server for your new one?
I'm still trying to decide. I have a Windows Server 2016 license that I still have not used from when I was in college, and it's
What is
a
it? The current one's 2022, right? Or
Yes.
2019?
2022 just came out 3 days ago.
You could have somebody bring a tear to their eye just by running Windows Server 2022.
You
Like,
can
it was
get a
part of the
digital. You
family.
can get a digital key for $649.99.
I'm actually
Wow.
I am actually currently in the middle of shopping for a new server for the chiropractor, and I actually have to buy Windows Server 2022 to make
Wait.
sure that it's valid for another 8 years.
Why does the chiropractor need a new server?
It's very I could go into full detail of why.
Give us
but
that
it's
real
pretty much-
IT shit.
It's very old, and it's running on consumer hardware rather than enterprise hardware. Like where they pretty much took a desktop and installed Windows Server on it. I don't know who did it,
Boom.
but
R-
we need
right
to
here.
we need to upgrade to a server.
You can get you can get Windows Server 2019 for $62.49
From where?
from trustedtechteam.com.
Sounds trusty.
Did I
Yeah.
tell you? Oh, side story. Did I tell you in college? So I have a professor who will remain
Oh,
unnamed.
never mind. Never mind.
I have a
Never mind. It says looking for the full license. Click here.
Rip.
$499.99.
So I had a professor in college who will remain unnamed. He used to work for Microsoft back in the day. And before he left, he stole 1,000 Windows Server 2012 R2 keys,
Wow.
threw them all into a spreadsheet, and just used them to give to students. And I remember one day in class, I was in class, and they were like, "Hey, yo, teacher name. I need a Windows Server 2012 R2 key for my server." And he was like, "Okay." And he opens his spreadsheet, and he has this big spreadsheet with all these activation codes. And then he just clicks on one, highlights it. He's like, "You can have number 345." And the student takes a picture of it, and then he highlights it, and saves the spreadsheet. He had this whole entire spreadsheet of all these keys, which, by the way, these are full like commercial license Windows Server keys. These are they were at the time worth $1,200.
Stuff if you're a school you can pay for without thinking about it, but if you're just like a person learning, you'd never want to pay that much.
They weren't even education versions. They were just stolen from Microsoft. So he had them.
Allegedly.
Yo,
And then
gamers.
also when I was in school, I also because I was a student for the program I was in, I was able to get some Windows Server keys. So I have them. I think I know where they are. But
And you went live on this broadcast too, right? Like you had keys to go live after the pre-show.
We don't have. Are you saying do we have keys to get? We don't have any keys to give out.
Pre-show is ending. Y'all ready for the real show?
Sure.
Tim looks so confused right now.
Tim's like, I don't know what the hell's going on.
I'm so lost right now.
Joe is suggesting that you're what? What the hell?
What is? What is?
Are we actually going into the radio show?
Android and iPhone users, welcome. BlackBerry and Windows Phone users, these phones don't even support podcasting, bro. The podcast going beyond the headlines. This is the Gooplycast. Here's your host, Matthew Carter.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gooplycast. I'm your host, Matt Carter. Oh my gosh. We're live right now on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. If you can't make our live show, we have an audio-only version, and you can find that on all of your favorite Android and iOS podcasting apps, apparently whenever you want. With us tonight is custom domain champion Matt Evans. Hi, Matt.
Hello.
It's nice to see you here
Yeah.
on the show. Also joining us is product red aficionado Roy Slipinski. Hey, Roy.
Everything red.
red. We also have host of Cooking with Tim, Chef Tim Van Claveren. Hey, Tim.
Hello.
And directing the show tonight is executive gamer Joseph Meacham. Hey, Joe. Welcome, everyone. Tonight, right now, we will be discussing the Facebook Meta rebranding. And I'm very curious to hear what all of you think about it. And what your takes are. Some people I'm more curious about hearing from than others. And one of those people is
You mean some person?
yes, some person, specifically Tim. But first, I guess we should get out of the way what exactly the situation is. So, what is Meta? What is Facebook doing? Hello?
I don't even think Facebook knows what they're doing.
I mean, what they're changing their name to Meta, Facebook. They're going to be a single company brand now that brings like all of their products, Facebook, Oculus, WhatsApp, Instagram. They're all going to be under the banner of this company named Meta. Kind of like how Google changed its name to Alphabet, and then Alphabet became like the parent company to Google and all of Google's other companies. This is similar, and they're doing it seemingly to say that Meta is like going to define the future of social media in certain ways. Their plan is to invest in this concept called the Metaverse, which is like a global virtual and augmented reality platform for experiences and applications. At least that's what I could gather from but Mark Zuckerberg's live stream where he announced this whole transition.
I call bullcrap on all of that. I feel that this is Facebook's way of rebranding in such a way that they now have this parent company and all these companies underneath it that occupy the social media realm and could technically at this point be competitive towards each other so that it's no longer Facebook owns all of its rivals. It's kind of like how you have a certain grocery store named Kroger that owns all these tiny grocery stores. It's not really a monopoly if you have all these little tiny companies that still technically operate separate from each other.
Oh, that's very, very interesting. So it's a way
That's
to.
That's why I see it. And it skirts antitrust and monopoly and stuff like that. In my opinion, I think that's kind of what brought this along. I think that they're going to be less in the light of owning and acquiring all of their quote competition because now Meta owns Facebook and Instagram and so on and so on, and they're now going to be their separate entities rather than owned by the one conglomerate of Facebook.
Do you guys feel that it was difficult or how difficult do you think it is for the average consumer to differentiate between like Facebook, the company that owns WhatsApp and all these other apps, and Facebook, the like application? Like, how difficult do you think it would be for your average consumer to think that those are all separate entities without Meta existing? Like, do you guys think that this really actually simplifies things for people, or what?
No.
I'll be honest. If you at all went on Facebook the day after it was announced, everyone thought it was the end of the world and everyone was gonna die soon. And it was just very chaotic. Everyone was like, "What is this? Meta? Is Meta Satan? Is what's going on with Facebook?" And um, there's always going to be confusion no matter what you do, your company, you're always going to cause a ton of confusion. And unfortunately, um most of Facebook's users, not everyone, but a lot of their users are all old people. So there's gonna be a lot of confusion of this entire thing. Yeah, I think it was a smart move on their end to do this, because just looking at their website right now, it's nicer to think of Oculus not being owned by Facebook and being owned by Meta. Even though it's the same people and the same company, it's still
Mhm.
more comforting.
Well, it's one Tim over, obviously.
Yeah.
I, as far as being less confusing, I just want to redirect back to the example you used of Alphabet. You know, Google made Alphabet, and Alphabet became the parent company of all things Google. But when you think of all those companies that Alphabet owns, you don't say, "Oh, that's an Alphabet company." No, that's a Google company, and that's
That's
how
absolutely
everybody thinks of it. And I don't know if we'll ever get out of that mindset, because if you don't know the tech world, you don't even really understand that Alphabet exists. You still think of it as Google. I mean, how many times have we even said on this show that it's not Comcast, it's Xfinity, like as far as the app
Ooh.
goes, when Matt was talking about the Costco app. I'm not going to accidentally bring up Comcast because they're Xfinity on their app. I mean, rebranding when you're such an established brand in today's world is so difficult. Comcast has been Xfinity for how many years now? I
Mhm.
mean, the Everett Event Center, back when it was still the Comcast Arena, nobody ever called it the Xfinity Arena. It was the Comcast Arena because that's what it was before it was the Xfinity Arena.
Mhm.
Um, you know,
And
everybody's like,
underlying, we
"Oh,
know that it's the same company, so it's like calling it Comcast, calling it Xfinity, it all equates to the same thing.
So
And
I feel that Facebook's gonna have the same roadblock that Alphabet has and that Comcast had with its own rebranding of its services.
Hmm.
So no, I don't think it's going to simplify anything. I think it's continue to make people confused, especially since Tim's correct. A lot of the people who are of my age and older are the main demographic on Facebook, at least of its main users. And I'm sure young people have Facebooks too, but that's not their main social media access. Um, you know, old people are more resistant to change, and they're going to keep calling it the Facebooks. I mean, how many old people came into electronics and referred to any game system as a Nintendo?
it literally is still happening. My mom did it the other day. And I was like, oh, it happened. And she knows that I'm in like tech and we've had conversations about it, but she still she called like a PlayStation a Nintendo or something like that. And I was like,
I rest my case.
So then you guys, how do you feel about Facebook changing their name to do what Comcast did, which is to like start fresh and get away from whatever it is about Instagram that people don't like, or to be seen in that way, or whatever it is that Facebook does that people don't like? How fresh of a foot do you think that, if not the U.S. government, then maybe consumers and stuff will give Facebook?
I don't know what else they could have done.
Hmm.
They were already kind of trapped into a corner. There was either completely just kill the entire brand and company, which they're not going to do that, or rebrand. And I think rebranding was probably the best solution they could have done with all the options that they had available.
Hmm.
Yeah, if I were in Zuckerberg's shoes, I would probably do the exact same thing.
And he
Do you think
seemed
the rebranding is going to work? Like, do you really think it's going to change
I-
anything as far as perception goes?
Like, I don't know. It's worth
Because
trying.
I'm gonna say once again, it didn't work for Comcast. Everybody still
True.
refers to him as Comcast.
Comcast is a different beast because I feel like they just changed their name. They, as far as I'm aware, they're
No,
not like
it's been like that for a few
conglomerate.
years. They've been Xfinity for
No,
quite a
I mean
few years now.
not like recently, but like so like there was Comcast and now there's Xfinity. But did Comcast own a bunch of companies that made them like a
Oh,
conglomerate
like
kind of
were they
thing?
trying to
Well,
rebrand to subdivide?
they own NBC and a bunch of media companies now.
That is
So
true.
that's basically what Comcast is under now. You
Ah.
know, so they own a bunch of Hollywood movie companies and stuff like that. And so Comcast is the company name of everything.
Oh, no way. So Xfinity is only the internet provider and Comcast is the umbrella?
Yeah, so Comcast is like the corporate entity essentially.
I see. Oh, see, I didn't even know that, and I've hated Comcast for so long. I feel like I would have incepted that knowledge just through sheer hatred.
Yeah,
But with
Comcast owns NBC. Is
I knew
their biggest property, which was and then the Peacock, release and
Hmm.
stuff like that is all, Xfinity customers get a deal on that. So it's all wrapped into the Comcast thing. I think I don't necessarily think the branding is going to do much. I don't think it was necessarily to get away from media coverage or anything like that.
Hmm.
But I think it's more about opening this metaverse. And I'll just say that I mean, Google's working on similar things. I'm sure of it. Microsoft is probably doing the same thing, as well as Apple. I mean, all the major tech companies are working on augmented reality and virtual. I mean, we've already seen it with Oculus. It's interesting that he killed the Oculus brand, and I think it's going to be called the Meta Oculus. But I think they killed the company along with the rebranding of it.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
which doesn't surprise me because Oculus was, I mean, is kind of where Facebook is going. I think Meta is going with the augmented reality. So I think this is what it is. I mean, the augmented reality is what the future of it. It's like video gaming in the future. It's video gaming um, in the web essentially.
Hmm.
And I don't think it's anything different than what we've seen before. I mean, people live in video games. This is just putting yourself inside of the video game. Like we had Sims. Sims was really popular. People creating their own character, living in their reality. Sims Online, I think, connected with everybody online. So I think this is just a breakout to what others are coming from. Facebook said this is still a few years off, but I think they wanted to be the first to show off what they're working at.
Hmm.
And I think that's that's pretty much the direction they're going to go. But I have no doubt about it that it's going to get a nasty game between Apple, Google, Microsoft, and Facebook or Meta as to their future of augmented reality.
Actually, that's a really good point because you have Microsoft who's working on the HoloLens. They have the HoloLens 2. Right now, they're worried about consumers. They think the HoloLens is not a great consumer device. It's not comfortable enough. The resolution isn't good enough for games, and the whole experience isn't good enough for being in for extended periods of time. So they target businesses and corporations and like construction workers, like really hardcore stuff that would utilize all that tech. Then you have like Google, who's kind of doing stuff with the phone with augmented reality. and machine learning to make that an interesting experience. Same thing with Apple. You can use like the IKEA app to put furniture into your house and see how it looks before you buy it, and try clothes
Yeah.
on also.
They have,
But
I mean, Apple
Hmm.
has an AR kit for developers that allows you to develop into it. I have no doubt about it that Apple is working on a headset device of some sort, where you will put it on and, you know, um, be able to text people or whatnot, within there,
Are you saying they're working on a usable Google Glass?
possibly, but I mean, it's hard to see. It's hard to see where it goes. I mean, Google Glasses came out, I mean, many years ago, um, and or it was called Google Glass, not Google Glasses, but it. I mean, it was essentially kind of more of a personal assistant. So I kind of think of that a little different than what maybe Apple is trying to work on. I think Apple's more working on a headset where you can socialize with friends the same way that you know Facebook and Meta are looking to do at the same time.
Mhm.
Where you can meet in space. You know, and I think it just. I mean, I get people's frustration about it, and I understand people's um concerns about it because a lot of people were saying that this is the end, but it's no different than the Sims. You're just putting yourself there in a headset type base. You were playing Sims online with friends and putting yourself out there and making your own character. It's no different than a video game reality, I think. So I think that there should be privacy concerns with it as well. But overall, I think that it's not just Facebook or Meta that's working on it. Other companies are too, and I think we're going to see other brands outside of the big giant tech companies come out with it as well.
Sounds like the movie Ready Player One is what
Yeah,
this
exactly. Or if you just watched The Good Man, The Good Guy, is it The Good Guy?
Oh, it's
Free guy,
With
free
Free
guy.
Guy.
Free Guy. It's the same thing. Like, they're playing in an augmented reality, and essentially, and essentially the kind of giving away the storyline. I mean, it's been out for a while, so if you haven't seen it, you might want to pause for a few minutes. But essentially, the reality is that they built a. We're
Right,
taking off this. It's essentially taking off a character, and he's building out. They're building out a augmented reality, and the augmented reality takes over and becomes a living thing that can learn and rewrite its own code. So that is essentially what Free Guy is all about. And so I think at the same time, you have to be concerned about how coding works, because I don't know. I mean, who knows if Skynet actually could be a real thing? We don't know what AI technology can do in the future. So
Still need to see
And-
the movie, obviously.
You're safe now. We're past the spoiler zone. So if all of these other companies are working on augmented reality, virtual reality, and it's obviously a core part of Microsoft. It's Apple believes it's the future. We keep hearing about them working on some kind of virtual reality, augmented reality thing. Why is Facebook, a social media company, not a tech company like Google? They don't really make hardware. I mean, they made the Oculus, but they bought their way into that, and that's primarily a gaming device. Like, why is Facebook doubling down more than
well, think
any
of
of the other companies?
think of what Facebook really is. So Facebook is a social network. It's a social gathering place. So when they showed off at the keynote from his living room, by the way, that they showed off a reality where people were socializing in outer space.
Hmm.
So to me, it's more or less just like a live chat room. Back in the day when we had AOL chat rooms and I don't know, Yahoo maybe had chat rooms too. I don't know, but it's just a virtual chat room essentially. Same things like live video. You chat live with people. Especially during the pandemic, people were doing Zoom calls. They were doing Facebook rooms. I don't know how much they were really doing Facebook rooms, but and then the live video has become more and more though, and this is ultimately a way for creators to become into that augmented reality and put on things. I mean, think of this: we could be sitting in our living room and having a concert,
Yeah.
and watching a live concert with a headset on.
Mm.
It kind of makes same thing with TV shows. Like we could eventually see, maybe Comcast is working on some type of augmented reality too, where you essentially don't need a TV anymore, and you put on a headset and you can watch your favorite TV show, and it's actually like you're there in front of it. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that could be the future,
Mm.
of what we are. And you think of concerts, and stuff like that. I mean, look how many virtual concerts, like me and my wife saw a bunch of them during during lockdown, and stuff like that, because everybody was doing it over Instagram, everybody was
Yep.
doing it over Facebook. Think about how that could be the future of watching concerts. I'm not saying that we're like everybody's gonna just go home and watch a concert, but
Mm.
it's a good way to put on a show.
Well,
That everybody
they've
can
had
see.
a few concerts inside of the game Fortnite. I can't
Yeah,
remember who. Drake might have put on a concert, and a couple of other people might have put on a concert, but in a video game, which isn't even yet virtual reality. It is just a virtual space that was built out to have a concert. And
yeah,
like, so Matt, you're a developer, and Roy, you're becoming one, and Tim, you're in IT. Um, Facebook has to combine all of this development, all the social networking, connecting all of this stuff together. Uh, they have to build out the APIs to allow developers to build experiences. They have to build the concerts, make it easily accessible to creators, because Zuckerberg focused on that a little bit, how much potential there is for creation in virtual spaces. I mean, is there anything that you guys could see there being some kind of like impediment to having Facebook be in control of this stuff? Or how do you feel about Facebook being the face of virtual spaces, I guess?
well, and I don't think it's the face of anybody yet, because it's not been
Mm,
created, it's not
mm,
here. So Facebook giving us this preview or this glimpse into what the metaverse is all about is great, but it's not here yet. It's not reality. We're not, you know, going out and buying, you know, these augmented realities to watch. So I think it's still up in airs on who's going to control this thing, this virtual reality and augmented reality. And I don't necessarily think it's going to be Facebook yet, or
mm,
Meta.
mm. So they might be trying to position themselves in a place for being important, but they might not be the end all be all once we get to that point. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I think more or less this might have come out because they've obviously been planning this move for a while, into this space. I don't think they just decided to wake up one day and do this rebranding. I think this branding has been in works for a while. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not an easy job to rebrand your company. I have no doubt about it that it went quick, but I don't think that it was any time like in the last month or so.
Hmm.
I would say though that this preview may have been to focus on why they're rebranding into this augmented reality. Because it takes you got to work on branding, you got to work on logoing, you got to work on acquiring, like domains and all that type of things. You got to go through a lot of legal process in order, especially for a public traded company. So it's
Yeah.
not like they could just wake up, a couple weeks ago and said, "Oh, bad publicity. We need to rebrand the company. I think
Hmm.
that ultimately, and the reality is that this has been in the works for a while, and maybe they released the preview of what the metaverse will be, but a little earlier than they wanted to. But I mean, it's still anybody's game who's going to take over this augmented reality area.
For sure. And I know that they're not yet in competition, but I know that Epic Games and Fortnite, Tim Sweeney has said that he wants to create the metaverse, a platform or a system where all characters from all franchises can exist inside of Fortnite or whatever kind of ecosystem that he's going to build.
Well, he
And
also wants to get back on the App Store, but he can't get what he wants.
I mean, that's not going to happen. I mean, probably same thing for Facebook. Like they're in a position where they are beholden to Apple, they're beholden to Google, and they're not as beholden on the web to like Chrome and Firefox or whatever web browser. But for such a big company, they don't really have. They're so controlled by the mobile space. They're so controlled by Google and Apple that saying that they're going to make what they think is the next big platform makes a lot of sense because they should be in control of more than just, I don't know, social media, because social media people use their phones to access, and so Apple has complete control over their bottom line at the end of the day. Like Apple did just say that they can't track and can't do targeted ads. Like Apple had them an insane amount of control over Facebook that I feel like if they ever do make some kind of metaverse thing, it'll be interesting to see what they do because they'll be able to work directly with developers to make, I don't know, their own video games inside of whatever metaverse thing Facebook creates. They'll be able to make office spaces where people go to work inside of whatever metaverse that Facebook creates, which I find really interesting. I don't know, because I don't know if you guys remember, but I thought about trying to use my Oculus headset as my base computer for a really long time.
Mhm.
But right now it's too difficult. So I wonder if eventually there'll be some kind of like virtual OS that Facebook has
Well,
that.
and I think that I think that it's anybody's game too. I mean, I think that Intel, computer manufacturers are looking at what they could do with augmented reality, and so I think that we're gonna see a lot more in the next few years. I think it's not gonna be. I think it's not going to be realistically priced when it comes out either. Too, like Oculus is still quite expensive.
They are
I mean,
selling it
it's
at cost, which surprised me.
yeah, which it does because I think they want to be I think they want to be more or less um,
The
the
dominant
the
headset. They just want
dominant
to
headset. Yeah, and
get units into people's hands.
I think that's why they're trying to get it out there. But
Yeah.
again, it's still I mean, $400 or $500 for an AR headset, and if you think about it, so for example, if you think about the way I was talking about watching movies and stuff like that, everybody has to have a headset in your family, you
Hmm.
know, and stuff like that too. So you have to factor that in and stuff like that. TVs are relatively expensive right now.
Hmm.
But if this is something that may replace the TV eventually, where we watch TV, and I mean, it could be anything too. Like, I mean, we could go to the movies one day, and instead of having a giant screen in front of us, we put on a headset.
Why would I go to the movies if there wasn't a screen
Exactly,
and
but you wouldn't. But I'm just saying that
yeah,
may be the more affordable
why
cost
would you?
for it. But like AMC could, or Regal, or whoever the theater brand is, could eventually say, hey, you can come to the theater and use our equipment, or you can use your own equipment from the house and download our app, from whatever app store you're using.
Hmm.
But I think that the augmented reality eventually is going to replace what we currently know as some of our tech, whether it's the phone, whether it's the whatever. Facebook glasses they did the Ray-Bans thing. I haven't really tried it out. I haven't really been interested in it.
Forgot about
But
those.
but who knows what other things might come up from there,
Mhm.
We could eventually see Apple glasses where, you don't take your phone with you anymore, except for the fact that you push a button and you see reality in front of you, and you're walking and seeing your text messages at the same time, and you're telling Siri to reply back to you and stuff like that. Adam, who is the head of Instagram, I heard him talking on his Instagram feed about how he uses the Ray Bans, and he uses it mostly for the speaker
Hmm.
and the audio. So I mean, there's so much I feel like we could see with this augmented reality and stuff like that. It's just too early to tell who's going to be the dominant, manufacturer and the platform development, and it could turn out that it's like the iOS and the Android, it could be like it could be two manufacturers, it could be Apple and Facebook, it could be Apple and Google, it could be, Apple and Microsoft, or whoever takes it
Facebook and
over.
MySpace. Yeah, I want to rewind for a second because you actually brought up a really good point there, Matt. You talked about how this may not be reasonably priced when it comes out, and I 100% agree. It's not going to be reasonably priced. It's going to be expensive. For the exact
It's gonna be
examples.
like the Microsoft Fold.
Well, it'll be like it's for the reasons you gave. It's not going to be reasonably priced. It's not going to be cheap tech. However, this is a hurdle that I think that whatever companies get into this space are going to have to tackle and tackle quickly, because the real world application example of that was 3D televisions. In order to you had to buy the two to 3 grand television plus the 3D Blu-ray player plus the 3D movies plus the 3D glasses that were like $70 or $80 a pop, and the batteries they ran on. I mean, to get invested into watching 3D content at home, you had to drop no less than almost 4 grand for your family to watch 3D content.
Mhm.
And now, when was the last time you saw a 3D television in a store? When was the last time you saw 3D glasses for sale? When was the last time you saw a 3D Blu-ray player for sale? I haven't seen them for a few years. And the tech was so expensive and the entry level was so high that the demand just never came for it. And I think that if augmented reality is going to take off sooner rather than later, that they're going to have to figure out a way to get that entry level down quickly for the average person. And I think as an application of a movie theater type thing where the cost is going to be less for the public to be able to enjoy it is a good way to do it.
It's funny. It's funny you mentioned that. Me and my wife were actually walking through Best Buy the other day, and we were looking at TVs, and we went along the back wall, and there was this TV that was $25,000. And
Wow.
I'm like
The size of the
$25,000.
wall?
I'm like, what the hell? It was like a 70-inch, 75-inch maybe.
Does it make you a
But
sandwich?
it was
Huh.
it was hella thin. And I mean, I didn't look into the specs of it because we were kind of just walking through and stuff like that. But I mean, it was I think it was an LG. It was hella clear TV. But again, TVs were relatively expensive at the beginning, and then they lowerly dropped, over time. And now you can get flat screen TVs for $100, $200. You can get a 32-inch, or whatnot. So I think that it eventually come down as the demand and the competition comes out to see who can get to that lower price point.
So, Matt, you tried my Oculus Quest 2.
I did.
What did you think about that?
I liked it. That's
You
the best
liked
I've
that.
done it. That is the best I've done at Tetris in my lifetime. I will say.
You played,
I did. I played Tetris, and I used to play Tetris on the Game Boy all the time. That was my number one thing to play on the Game Boy besides Super Mario Brothers. And I never I was in your Oculus for like almost 30 minutes. I think I was at like 20 minutes.
It was about half an
Tw-
hour. It was like, yeah,
Yeah,
well, we
it
were
was like
setting up for everything.
yeah, and I was like, and I'm like, this just and the thing about it too is it felt so calming.
Hmm.
Like I was having a conversation with you guys, and I was playing Tetris, and I was winning. I was on like level 15 or something like that. Never got that far on the Game Boy. I'm sorry, but I just kept going and going and going, and you know the so it really thought to me like this is cool, you know. And I
Hmm.
went home and I told my wife that I wanted to get an Oculus, and she goes, "Well, how much is an Oculus?" And I said like 400 or 500 bucks, and she goes, "No," and
I
shut me
will
down.
tell you. So that game for everybody listening and watching was Tetris Effect on Oculus. You can get a 128 gig Oculus Quest 2 for 299 flat.
That's not bad
That's
actually.
I bought my 128 for 399, and that
Yeah.
was a year ago or something like that. So the price has dropped, and now you can get a 256 gig version. So I feel like the
If you can
price,
find it.
if you can find, I'm during the holiday season, it's been aggressive to try. You have to be aggressive to get an Oculus Quest. Most other
I'm at
times it's been
Target like a few weeks ago.
yeah.
That
You
was in
did?
that price range. Yeah.
Okay, so they were having some supply issues going right up until the pandemic started. I'm not sure what their supply is right now. I'd hope it's better. But if you guys are seeing some, then that's great. More
No,
people can
I,
get.
I walked by, I saw it in a case, and I was like, "Wow, they're that cheap now." I remember thinking because it was two. Although I think that I could have swore the price tag I saw was $299, but I still remember thinking, like, that's pretty cheap.
For a very compelling experience, one that took Matt by surprise, and he enjoyed being in it. You didn't get sick that I remember. I don't remember you feeling like lightheaded or getting like a headache or
I will
anything.
say when I took it off, it felt a little different.
Yeah.
Seeing light and not having my eyes adjust to it, you
Hmm.
know. Um, but like honestly, that's the calmest that I have felt in a long time, and it was. Um, I kind of actually want to say it was like a meditating experience, believe it or
Mm.
not, playing Tetris. So yeah, I definitely want an Oculus someday, and I definitely want to play Tetris.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know. I mean, 299 is a better price point than what it was when it
The
came
reason
out.
why I bring that up though is because Oculus and Facebook are selling these things at cost, whatever that means. And the Oculus Quest 2 is like for the money, the best headset that you can get. Now, for wearing it for extended periods of time, it's still kind of this big, giant, bulky thing on your face. Kind of hurts your neck if you wear it for a really long time. So if you're watching like a 2-hour movie and you don't set yourself up to be comfortable, that's going to be not a great experience. Trying to like replace your TV or replace your computing platform of choice, whether that be a laptop or a computer. So I think the price and the experience is pretty good right now, but I don't feel like the comfort, the style, and the applications are there. Like, Matt, it sounds like you have a particular nostalgia to Tetris, but I'm not sure if most people would pay $300 for.
Well, and that's not all I'd use it for. That's what you had on there, and
Yeah.
that's what I picked first. Like, and I think that you said you had just gotten it that weekend,
Hmm.
or just recently before it, and I said, "Oh, I'll be the first to try it out then, I guess." And so that's what I tried it out. But no, I'd be more interested in seeing movies and stuff like that. The other thing too, that you think about it too is, like, have you ever been to those places where, you go into like they have one in Seattle. It's like Wings Over Seattle or something like that. It's basically a movie theater type style, and it's the chairs move and stuff like that, and you're flying
Mm.
over Washington and seeing like things. It's like a helicopter ride,
Like a
or something like
4D
that.
viewing experience kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And this could also be a replacement for those as well. And the other thing I was thinking about too
For
is like
sure.
everybody going to space. Like I mean, this could be like a new space experience,
Mm.
if they get that and they capture that, somehow they capture that ability to capture going into space, I mean, it won't be the true going into space,
Right.
but it may be something that you want to do. Eventually maybe they'll figure out some way to, you know, get footage of landing on the moon or something like that. Who knows what they could do with the rover footage that they're getting off of the rover to create a Mars experience, where you go to
Mm.
Mars and you watch a sunset. You think about it, you think about and here's another thing too, that I was thinking about during this, and this is like, I'm not saying this is going to be the future, but in Star Trek, there was the hologram or the holodeck,
Oh yeah.
um, the holodeck, and basically, essentially, you walked into this like it was all black and had lines all over it and stuff like that. But then you could go and turn it into any virtual reality,
Mhm.
um, and who knows if they could do that someday as well. I mean, probably not. I mean, that's probably years off.
I
But
would
who
early
knows?
adopt the holodeck immediately. I don't care if I get burned or if I like lose an arm or something like that. I want to be there day one.
Yeah,
If we had a
but
holodeck, we could have our Gooblycast live wherever we wanted. Panera, McDonald's,
exactly.
Starbucks.
But who knows what the future is going to hold with this augmented reality? Like this is definitely a game changer. And you talked about the Oculus being a lot bigger. Like it's going to eventually come down to who can make a pair of glasses
Right.
that you put on and you basically go in like a regular pair of glasses,
Mhm.
or you tap something on your glasses and they turn black, and you are looking into it and you are seeing the virtual reality. It's definitely going to come down to who can do the best technology and the best experience.
Have you
Mm.
guys ever heard of the game Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes?
Heard of it,
No.
haven't played it.
Sounds
You have played
amazing.
it?
I've heard of it, but have not played it
Oh,
myself.
got it. Okay. So, um, 1 year at PAX East when I was there 1 year, and if you've never been to PAX before, they have what's called the Omegathon, where basically you're competing throughout the entire convention. There's like a big group of people, and they're competing through different kinds of games, trying to. And the winner pretty much ultimately gets a all expense paid trip to PAX Australia. And this particular year, I was watching it, and the final round, there's always a final round, and the final round is always a random game. Nobody knows what it is. And it was Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes in VR. And
What?
basically, there were two people. One person had the VR headset on and saw and was holding the bomb. And the bomb has all sorts of different patterns and puzzles that you have to do. And the
Like
other person,
wires and buttons and
yeah,
knobs and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. And then the other person is off in the corner, cannot see the bomb, but has a manual that is full of pages of how to defuse the bomb. And you have to work together to defuse the bomb. And if you hit 3 strikes, like if you mess up 3 times, the bomb detonates.
Oh.
And you have to go through 5 patterns. Typically, I think it's 5 or somewhere around there. It's 5 or 6 different patterns slash puzzles. And that was a game to me that I was like, that is really cool in VR. And so
Mm.
once I got my VR headset, that was one of the first games that I bought.
Hmm.
And Zoe actually made, I don't know if she has it still over. I think she has it over there. But it's basically it's a binder, and she did the exact same binder. She printed out the PDF file and made a full binder with even like a whiteboard marker where you can make notes while you're doing it. And
Oh
we've
wow.
actually played a few times to where she is going through and I have the headset on and I'm trying to defuse the bomb, and it's a very good like strategy game, to be talking, and that was it's a simple game, but it's so much like it's better in VR. Like we have it also on the Switch, and it's fun on the Switch. It's playing it in VR is completely different because
Yeah, it's like the thing is right in your face and you're inhabiting that space in that situation.
then like every time you mess up, the timer gets faster, and then you're like you actually get like pretty scared getting in the middle of it. I highly recommend checking out if you have it. I think it's available on PC, Switch. I think it might be available on some of the consoles. But if you have it on, I think it's on the Vive, and then it's also might be on Oculus.
It's on Oculus, both the Rift and the Quest, the Vive and PSVR, all the consoles, and even on Gear VR and Daydream, which I don't actually know if anyone has access to those platforms anymore, because I know Samsung is shutting down Gear VR, and Google, I don't know if they're even doing Daydream anymore, but
Yeah, I got it. So this is the
oh, that's cool.
game manual, and you're basically like it's just the manual of how the bomb works. So each one tells you about because there's just different there's patterns, like there's all these different pattern games. Yeah, it's a manual for how to play the game. Here's like one where this is what you would see on the bomb, and then this is you have to get this dot to go to the end dot, and you have to it's a maze.
It's amazing that they created literal documentation to play this game.
Right?
That's pretty
So
fantastic.
and then it gets pretty insane. Like there's games with binary in it. Like it gets very tricky to where but it's a fun VR game.
And that's the not it's one of the promises of VR is that it can change the way that we currently interact with things in the world. Like you're in VR actually touching the bomb. It's not like you have a disembodied screen in your face like a Switch, or you have a controller and you're looking at a TV and everybody else is looking at the manual. It's like you're inhabiting the space where the thing will explode if you
Yeah.
don't do this correctly. That's a completely different emotional experience.
And we played this we've done this in VR where she has the manual and the VR headset. It's so much more fun. There was one time we were playing it when I was living in Seattle. We went to a laundromat, and while I was waiting for my clothes to finish up, I had the Switch and I was playing, and she had her phone and had the manual, and we were playing just rounds. And it was fun to play there. Like it was super cool still to be able to play that kind of a game anywhere using the Switch, but VR, it's a completely different game.
Yeah, I definitely look forward to when they're so ubiquitous that like carrying one around isn't difficult. Hopefully it'll be like everybody carrying around a Nintendo DS where they just had one on them because I don't know, there was the incentive with Street Pass to always carry your DS with you. You had to. It'd be cool if there was some kind of reason to carry some compact, useful VR glasses or headset around with you. But I'm glad that a company like Facebook is openly working on it, because one of the things that we get by them changing their brand to Meta is that they're declaring that that's what they're going to be working on, and hopefully that will start to attract more people under that banner, and they'll be able to accelerate the virtual reality future that I want, other people want, we want, that we want to see. And Facebook said they're investing, I think initially at least like $100 million into supporting developers working on augmented and virtual reality apps, which I thought was a pretty awesome decision for them to make. And they're going to be putting like courses for virtual reality like development and certification on various platforms. So it seems like they are doubling down. Whether or not you trust them, they are maybe going to be the biggest players in the conversation for virtual reality going forward.
Or maybe Tim Sweeney and Fortnite will be.
Well, I mean, yeah,
I'm
they're
just
not.
saying,
Yeah,
who knows? I'm just saying, who knows yet what the
yeah.
future will hold. You know, um, if Teen Sweeney does a rebranding of it, do they get to go back onto the Facebook App Store or the not the Facebook but the Apple App
Not
Store?
Epic anymore.
It's not
It's
Epic Games, so you sued Epic Games. We're now bottom games or whatever. I don't
oh
know.
my god,
Um,
rock
the
bottom
other
games for you.
the other thing too, I wanted to bring up, and I don't want to go into detail on everything, but does anybody remember Demolition Man?
Yes.
Remember when he's falling for the police officer, and they're going back to her apartment, and sex has basically
What?
been
Yes.
sex
It's
has
no
been banned,
touching.
no touching anymore, and you put on this headset to have sex in virtual reality,
Yeah. It
and
like
it's
plugs
like,
into their nerves and everything. He has no
yeah,
idea what the heck's going on.
yeah. And but when I did see the keynote and stuff like that, I thought about Demolition Man for a minute, because it's literally like he's like sex has pretty much been banned because it cuts off on diseases and everything and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, and stuff like that too. But the only reason why I say that is because eventually we do need to have better privacy for whoever develops this
Oh,
virtual reality, because eventually this is going to be a way that we have to be able to protect the kids from being on it and getting into things. So I think it needs to build with privacy first and parenting controls. Whoever
yes.
develops this thing in all. I think that is going to be, in order to be a leader in the development of it and the leader in the thing of it, you have to prove that you want to put privacy and uh, parenting controls first, because who knows what this is going to break out into,
Yeah.
and stuff like that too. There's online harassing and bullying and stuff like that. It could all roll over into this. So I just saying to whoever makes this and becomes this, think about the privacy and the protection first before. Which is kind of why I hope that Apple will do it first, because I know that privacy will be the most important to them, as they have put into pretty much all of their devices. So.
I certainly hope there's going to be some kind of sensible way to identify yourself within the metaverse, because if you had an Oculus up until recently, you had to have a Facebook account in order to use the thing, which
You
meant that
don't
Facebook
anymore.
could. You don't anymore, exactly.
They're dropping that, yeah.
So, which is nice because now you're not beholden to being obviously tracked by Facebook, though I imagine they're still tracking what you do and reporting that back to Oculus in some capacity. But you don't have to have a Facebook account, which I know made a lot of people happy to use a completely different product that has nothing to do with Facebook. But there's it's tricky when you want to stay private in something like the internet, because that's kind of what the metaverse is going to be. It's going to be like a three-dimensional version of the internet. Addresses will take you to a physical virtual place. You'll be able to browse shops with clothes and put them on your virtual avatar, buy virtual furniture, do all of this stuff. But you're going to have an account somewhere that's going to keep track of your information, your payments, and all that stuff. Right now, we use Apple, we use Google, we use Facebook, we use Amazon to pay at websites, to pay at stores, to log into websites. We use email addresses that are always getting hacked. So I'm hoping there's some kind of better solution rather than just doing all of the same stuff again once we get into virtual reality, because if they're trying to make it as accessible and intuitive and emotional seeming as possible, you're going to have a lot more people into it not knowing what to do and possibly getting swindled, which an effort to double down on privacy would help with, and security.
Yep.
Anything else you guys wanted to bring up about Meta and the Metaverse, Facebook, the name change, all that good stuff?
Nope, I think we covered it all.
Awesome. Well, in that case, thank you everyone for watching, and we want to give you a big thank you to everyone for joining us live on the episode of the Gooply Cast, and also a big thanks if you're listening to our podcast. Look for our replays on YouTube and the podcast version of our episodes on all of your favorite podcasting apps, including iHeartRadio. Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook, so that way you'll get notified when we go live with the show, and you can join in, and also for when we share new tech-related content. I've been your host, Matt Carter. For Matt, Roy, Tim, and Joseph, we appreciate you so much for watching and listening. We'll catch you next time on the Gooply Cast.